Hey guys, welcome back to American Adventure. Today I'm going to be working on the park entrance and a city hall type building or guest relations and a locker room. So first things first, let's build my park entrance for American Adventure. Now I was kind of confused and unknowing of how to start my entrance. So I had to do a couple Google searches of American themed park entrances, and I found a pretty cool one to pull inspiration from. What was the Six Flags Great America entrance? So it's kind of a colonial looking church type of building. No, it's like a church, more like a city hall. It's a lot with white pillars and a tower in the center and brick, so I kind of went for that type of structure. So this pulls a lot of inspirations from Six Flags Great America's entrance, and I think it worked out pretty well to be a pretty good representation of American architecture. And the funny thing is that there wasn't any like concept art for said Disney's America's entrance. There's only like a key few like concept art, like some of the lands, some of the like Main Street area, especially Crossroads. There's like a couple of concept art for that, or Ellis Island, but there's no concept art for said entrance, so it's really hard to base my park on a concept when there's no beginning. So in this aspect I'm kind of making it up, but I'm very grateful that I found one from Six Flags Great America, which looks pretty cool building. So I kind of did that. The pillar trick here I'm doing to make him look a little bit different pillars than usually just using one. I use the medieval round pillar with the generic skinny pillar. I'm going to call it the skinny pillar because it is a skinnier version than the default pillars. So I kind of did that in a grid of 8 to kind of put them next to each other. It gives them that texture look, that ridge style. So that's kind of the idea. And then these white ballast, maybe it's a ballast or border top, I did triangles that are upside down or pyramids to give it that different texture look, and then borders to kind of clean them off. And then the roof is the new not tribal, oh my god, it's temple roofs. This is the brick textured ones, things like that. So I like the brick texture, kind of adds some differences than just using the generic plain roofing. Now again, I could do custom roofing with like borders or pieces and stuff like that, but I feel like that would just bog down the map more because there's so much more to fill in. So I'm going to try to keep my roofs very simple, but yet interesting in shape. And every once in a while I'll probably do like a tile roof or something that needs it, depending on the area that might need it. So you'll see that eventually, maybe. So just doing the simple this one on a white border. I don't know why I want to call it a ballast. It probably is called a ballast. Maybe. I don't know. Made a copy of one end and then flipped it over just to make my life a little easier. Doing little tricks like this makes building faster, so try to use that technique as much as possible depending on what you're working on. Especially making like walls and fences, it's the easiest way to make blueprints. Just start making a whole bunch of them. So here are some more borders on the top of the ballast, and then it's gonna make some like little edge. I wanted to add some more detail, and then a square cube at the bottom to give it that base of a pillar to kind of make it look grand and stuff, and kind of just copying what Great America made. So it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It looks nice. I think it looks nice. So again, just kind of working on details here and there, making sure that everything is consistent and symmetrical in this building, because this is like one of my more grand entrances than, let's say, Astroland. Astroland was very, very simple, a metal roof, pillars, and a giant sign that says Astroland. In this case, there is no sign on this building because the sign for American Adventure is going to sit a little bit in front in the plaza. So that's kind of what I went for. And trying a park in this aspect a little differently than my Astroland, because Astroland wasn't necessarily as realistic as it should be. this park's gonna be a little bit more realistic in its layout and how like the front of the park is gonna be like. Like for example, this plaza area that's inside the park is going to be more like round based, a lot of footpaths. So you're gonna have guest relations on one side and then like guest lockers on the other side. So that those are your utilities for your guests to use. And then you venture on to Crossroads. And then I did make a secondary land that will reach off into Liberty Street off to the right. You'll see that in like episode 3. But right now we're just working on the entrance and guest relations and locker rooms. Dormers, I did some dormers on the roofs. And I feel like when you do dormers, you have to put a pillar of some sort. The very skinny one, that's the half one, on grid 6 is the best way to kind of just to be with those dormers. Because I feel like when you have them separate, it doesn't show off really well. I like the borders as definition, and the pillars as definition as well. I was trying out an American flag on the new signs that we got, but it repeats the image mirrored on the other side, so it's not mirrored, it's just the same way both sides, so it doesn't make it look like an American flag. So I had to remove it. It was an idea, it was going to be cool if I had an American flag up there, but it doesn't work. But I do bring the American flag back for the entrance sign later. Here I did a little bit of park border, so brick wall and pillars, and I did this brown wooden gate, so this is like either an emergency access or maintenance access for the park, so it leads out to the parking lot. So this is what Disneyland has, is they have a gate out in front, kind of like that. So I kind of went for that type of realism. Gate's not useful, but it's useful for, let's say, park maintenance and stuff. So here comes the American Aventure sign. I went through some iterations. The first iteration kind of resembled Captain America's shield. So it was kind of like, oh, well, I can't make it Captain America because this is not a Marvel park. So I had to change it quickly after that, because for a while it looked like a shield that Captain America would hold. So things had to change quickly, or just change in how it will look. So I just did a very simple sign with the American flag on the back, 2 pillars on the edges, and then I did this little trick with the archway in the center to kind of cover it up, and then shapes to cover up the back end. And I gave this nice arch over it, I like that. And then a wagon wheel kind of fits. It's going west, I don't know, it just looks cool. I like how things kind of piece them together. So it's kind of like an instinct, if you want to call it. Yeah, you can call it an instinct. So does it make sense? Maybe not, but it looks good. So I'm all happy. I like the sign. And then to finish off that would be to do some flags in the American colors. Red, white, and blue. I think this is like one of my... I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I think this is like one of my best little signs I thought to make before. Oh yeah, the other iterations was to make a giant eagle out of shapes, but that didn't turn out really well. It looked really ugly and blobby. So I think I don't need to do that. Maybe if I made my own art on like a paint program and then made an eagle and used the picture thing, maybe it would have worked. Don't know. It's not going to change. I like how it is. So on to guest relations. So this building's kind of inspired by Disneyland's City Hall. So I felt like I needed an information booth up in the front of the park, because the information booth originally was in Crossroads in one of the buildings, and I had to remove it because it made no sense to be that far into the park. So I kind of moved it up here. It's a very big building for one little building. I think did I put... You might see it. I think I put in an ATM as well. So ATM and an information booth are going to live in here. Also did some backstage area, so I made half the building nice and decorated, and the other half being all industrial, plain, like a backstage area. Did some tree filling here with the trees, kind of doing some new stuff with trees. I know that I could be using Max Freak's Foliage Essentials, but again, I want to keep this park as vanilla as possible. So I'm going to try to do that. The only thing that I'm using is Construction Anarchy mod, and I think I'm using one roller coaster mod that would be a Mine Train roller coaster. So I'm using that mod too right now. You'll see that build later, because that was a big build. I'm not done with that build yet either. I'm also starting to ramp up on some other areas you'll see eventually. But let's just talk about said information booth that I'm working on. So this building kind of resembles, again, I said before, the Main Street City Hall that's at Disneyland. So I just kind of have this brick building next door. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's like some type of just secondary building off the side. I don't know what it is for. It's like offices, I think. And then your main City Hall is your main white, tall-looking building with a tower, and I think I put a clock on it and some nice roofing. So I kind of just did that. Nothing like too grand, because I knew I had next to it the main entrance, which is already grand enough as it is. And then I also went around and did some of the backstage area. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this backstage stuff, because I can put like Easter eggs back here if I wanted to. And I just like the idea of hiding stuff in the back. It would be a so cool little thing to do. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll do lots of backstage areas. We'll even do areas that are like filler backstage that really won't serve a purpose. But again, there's a lot of places in this map where they're basically useless to gameplay wise, but it looks nice and realistic for a park that's supposed to resemble realism or of some sort. So I say right now my park is 75% realistic right now. It might get better as I build on, but we will see, because this is going to be a fun learning experience for making a park this big and this close to being realistic. So yeah, I think this is going to be fun. So continuing with this said building, I used the textured brick roofing again from the Aventure set, and then did some borders to accent some of the like supports or stuff, and then added a tower in the middle. Kind of resembles the one from Disneyland again. A very simple, I think it works for a colonial type of, it's not colonial, it's like more like turn of the century. That's the name. That's what Main Street's basically modeled after. Turn of the century park in the, was it the 20s? I don't quote me because I don't remember, but I think it's the 1920s. 1930s, maybe? I don't know. A 10-year span. It's very different things happen in 10 years. So regardless, just finishing off with a simple, what is that called? That roof? Spire. It's a spire roof. Then I experimented with different window sets, and I did a very simple windows in this not half, that's just a cylinder. So regardless, on to building the most useless building gameplay wise, because it has no purpose, but it looks cool. It's my locker room. This is the first time I ever did a locker room in a park type of setting, because to be honest, I've never used locker rooms or lockers in any theme park ever. I've never done it before, because the way I do theme parks is I usually go with my family, and my mom and or my dad would have a stroller anyway, because I have little brothers, and we would use that stroller as our item carrier. We would have things in it. We don't use lockers. So people who use lockers like religiously, I don't understand, because I've never done it before. So building a locker room from this perspective, I was like, I don't know what they look like, because I've never really been in one. It's kind of that weird moment of, oh, this is something I've never done before in a theme park, period. Lockers. So I had to do some Google searches of Disneyland locker rooms, Six Flags locker rooms, I think Knott's Berry Farm, I think I looked also, and I got a pretty good census of it's just a room full of lockers, like a gym or something. But there's decoration in it, so I felt like, oh, I'm going to do some decorations of like packages and stuff. Maybe this is like a mail house or something. So, yeah, Locker Rentals is the name of the place. Very basic and simple, and I think this is gonna be pretty cool. So, just doing some brick detailing on said building. The building next to it's just a filler building. Nothing really fancy about it. It's very, very basic. Again, it matches the one across the street, which is fine. It's okay to repeat some patterns, but don't do it too much that it kind of looks the same. If you understand what I'm saying, like each building should have its own characteristics and or style, but yet have that connection between each other. Like, for example, the roof is the same style as the other roof, but it's a different color. It's a green roof instead of gray. It has more windows on it than the other buildings, so they kind of match they're like in the same family, but they're like brother or sister or something like that. So it's kind of what I go for when building buildings. That's my philosophy so far. So on to building said lockers. I'm building lockers out of shapes, border pieces for the bottom part, like the concrete base. And then I did some window pieces flipped around to kind of simulate the doors are kind of popping out. They're kind of there. So you kind of see them. They look like doors. I think these look cool. Did that. They look like lockers. So it's a very simple 6 lockers in total. And then I did a very interesting trick with a bone piece to do the handle. Little dot. It's the smallest piece we got. It's not rescalable, so it works just as fine. It doesn't look like a bone from this distance because you can't see the rest of it. I tested out some scenery ideas on top, thought that would be okay to do, and then copied it over, and I put in a whole bunch inside the, well, building. This building has a, what's it called? Sunroof. I'm going to call it a sunroof, which is basically a glass roof. So you can see inside it, kind of peek inside and see what's up and see all the little details inside. I'm going to do that in some of my other builds. Like there's a dark ride I have an idea for Liberty Street, and it's going to have some cutaways so you can get to see inside it, which is, I think, a cool idea. So that's what I'm going to do, make this a cutaway. But this is more of a realistic cutaway because it's a actual sunroof, so it's going to be actual glass and stuff. See you in a second. So, details, just baggages and stuff, random things. And then on to finishing that, adding some cables and stuff, and then I'm going to add in the actual said glass roof out of borders. They look like iron, maybe, yeah, iron trusses, and then some glass to kind of resemble a window. I think I double layered them. Yeah, I double layered them. So if you want a darker glass feel, double up on your glass because it changes color that way. It gets darker. So I feel like the regular glass is kind of not that bright or dark in colors you want. So that's kind of what I went for. So double up on glass if you want to. Same thing with walls, do the same effect too. And then I did some simple brick decorations on top of the building to kind of fleur it out. It's kind of, I don't know why buildings do that, to be honest. I need to research this. Like, why do buildings make this brick type of like decoration on top to get attention from the crowds or something? I don't know, something like that. So I did that too, because I'm kind of imitating other buildings. And then I needed a actual logo for said locker room, so I went for a very basic lock. So a picture of a lock. So this is kind of my like, okay, let me see. I need a square. I took the end piece from the text engine, painted it gold. Kind of looks like the lock part, you know, the hoop part that would go on the said door, or yeah, door. And then I did a cylinder right below it. Yep, a cylinder. And just kind of made it look like a lock. I think it looks cool. I was very proud of myself at doing little details like this. And then finishing off the said locker room with some flags. And then red, white, and blue is the color scheme of this park so far, which is appropriate because it is an American themed park. So I like it. And I finished up with some trees to fill it out. So on to, I think, next is the overview, which should happen about now, right? Yeah, here's the overview of what I worked on today. So I hope you guys like this episode. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys soon in the next one. So see you later. Bye.